Assalamu alaikum. This is attorney Talib Karim, and we are live. We have viewers checking us out from around the world, actually. And we're excited about the dual stream that is happening. And we have now, I think, been joined by our special guest. Are you able to actually come? Let me just connect you there. I have no. I have sent you an invite. Okay. Unable to join. She says that Halal has declined. Don't decline me, sister. You have to accept our invitation so you can join our live stream conversation. Halal has declined. Don't decline me, sister. Alhamdulillah, and it says that you are invited. So we're waiting for.
How do I mute you here? Because I can hear both your voices here.
So what's happening is that you're going to have to maybe mute mute yourself on the great, excellent. So we have it. Walaikum salam. And I hear that feedback also. So I'm gonna bring the camera on here. So what we're doing. Okay, I think it's better now. I just muted you on my laptop. Great, awesome. So this is a special program, a live broadcast on Instagram Live and on YouTube Live. And we're really excited about this dual technology that we have here. This is the beginning of the year, and we have a special conversation, a conversation that I think is really, really timely. And it's about how do we spice up our marriage, or how do we start a marriage? A lot of people out there who are not married are looking to get married in 2022. They've set 2022 as their goal for getting married. And so we at the Academy of Muslim Achievement wanted to help people in that respect, because we understand that the marriage has been called the jihad of the heart. And as a jihad, we know that the Prophet ﷺ teaches us that you have al-husniyain. You have basically two things that can happen in a jihad. Either you can succeed in that jihad, or you can basically perish in this life and be able to live your life in the next life. Sister, we've lost you on the other stream on your laptop. Please join us.
It's coming up. I really don't know what happened. My laptop just went dead.
No.
Well, I'm turning it on now.
Try your best to join us back there, because our guests are there. And our guests, why don't you check in and tell us where you're coming in from? That would be great as a way of beginning. But this is an exciting conversation. This is in the background. I'm attorney Talib Karim. I'm based here in Washington, D.C. We are in our ninth year. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Let me repeat. We actually are in our 10th year. We started 10 years ago, but 10 years at 2012, so the end of 2012. So we I guess 9 years. We'll call it 9 years. So we're in our ninth year of business as the Academy of Muslim Achievement. We were formed as a way of creating greater positive images of Muslims, and the way we go about doing that is by hosting a number of very large programs from across the country. We were doing these things, of course, before the pandemic, and since the pandemic, we've moved our events online. But our biggest event is the Golden Minaret Awards, also known as the Muslim Oscars. And so this year, we are partnering with a number of brothers and sisters, like Sister Khadeejah, and Assalamu alaikum, Sister Khadeejah, and Assalamu alaikum to Nadia, and Sister Selfie, and Miss Diat. Assalamu alaikum to all you guys who are joining us on our Instagram live. And assalamu alaikum to all you who are joining us on the YouTube live. Please, tell us who you are, and we'll acknowledge you. Put your name there, and we'll showcase your name. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask those questions. So we want to go in and now just bring on our special guest, Sister Khadeejah Sulaimon, who is the CEO of Halal Matchmaking. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Khadeejah. How are you doing?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for having me here.
Alhamdulillah.
I'm glad to join back on live on the StreamYard app.
Please. We look forward to you coming back on the StreamYard app, because there are people who are there who want to engage with you on YouTube. And again, we also have you. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Sadia is joining us. How are you doing, dear Sister Sadia? We're really glad that you can be with us. We are excited because I know that you are based in Canada, and this conversation actually is a result of a conversation that started. You and I met each other last year on Clubhouse. So, it's really interesting that all these different type of technologies are kind of relating to each other and allowing us as Muslims from across the world to be able to engage with one another. But let's just go into a little bit of background. If I was going to read a little bit of a book, and I'm still waiting for you to join us back on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
Okay, good. Well, we'll keep the conversation going while we wait for you to join us back on YouTube. If I was going to read a book called The Making of Khadeejah Sulaimon, and I was going to look at the pages between high school and now, I know it would be volumes, but can you kind of give me a quick summary of those pages? Who is Khadeejah Sulaimon based upon the pages that we would see? And I see, oh, you're back. Great.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
So I'm going to mute your mic. Okay, great. Go. So go ahead, Sister Khadeejah. Give me.
Okay, so thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate the honor. I feel so privileged to be sharing this moment with you and other the audience that are joining us live. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Well, about me, nothing really interesting. Well, I can say yes, Khadija, I've always been an outgoing person. I was born into a Muslim home. Alhamdulillah, but parent Muslims.
And where were you born, dear sister?
I was born in Nigeria. Alhamdulillah.
What part of Nigeria?
Lagos State.
Okay.
I was born in Nigeria, Lagos State. And I was born into a family of 5. Alhamdulillah. The third child of 5 children. The last girl. I have 2 younger brothers as well. Yeah. My secondary school was in Ansarudin Girls High School, a Muslim school. My primary school was in Bagada. I'm sure you don't know all of this. But all in Lagos State. I did all my life in Lagos State, alhamdulillah. And then when I graduated, I went to the French village, also in Lagos State. I did my diploma there, went to Unilag, and then moved to Republic of Benin to do my first degree and my second degree. Yeah, I did French. I did human resources and personal management. I also did languages, literature, and foreign civilizations. Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. So you have so much knowledge behind you. SubhanAllah. So I mean, and I guess along the way you decided first of all, how did you get from Benin to Canada? Let's talk about that.
Oh, after Benin, I've been to so many countries. I've lived in Dubai for a while. I worked there as a teacher. I've lived in the US. I've been to Ethiopia and I've also now I'm in Canada, from America to Canada.
Okay, so let's go with the story. How did you get from the United States to Canada? Tell me about that.
Okay, well, I moved to the States because I needed to go do some job. So I moved there. And after staying there for a while, for almost about a year, I realized it's not really a place for me. I really didn't like the hostility towards Islam. I like
What part of the United States were you based?
I was in Maryland.
You were in Maryland, so you were right near us. And so you were in Maryland. What part of Maryland?
I was in Severn, Maryland.
Severn, Maryland is not too far from where I am right now. And so
yeah, I know.
So you're saying that you didn't feel that the Islamic community was as welcoming and
no. I wasn't. I didn't even have the opportunity to mingle with the Muslims there. The only thing I was doing was just to go pray Jummah or go for Eid, and that was it.
Now, what masjid were you near then?
Well, it was a masjid in a school.
What's
the name of the school?
Do you know
this Muslim school? I can't remember.
Was it Al Huda in College Park?
Al Huda, yeah.
Oh wow.
So I went to pray there, and that was it.
Now, what year were you there, sister?
I think that was in 2015. Okay, I guess.
So you were in Maryland in 2015, and you moved from Maryland to Canada.
Canada, yes.
Okay. So let me ask you, since the topic is on marriage, right? And a lot of people want to get some advice on these topics. How did you get into the business of, basically halal matchmaking? In fact, why don't you start, man? That's a good question, segue. What is halal matchmaking, and how did you start that?
That's a very good question, because I get these questions a lot from Muslims and non-Muslims. They ask me, what's the clause halal? Why halal? I tell them, I'm a Muslim, alhamdulillah. And as Muslims, we are people who listen and obey. We listen to the commands of Allah and we obey His commands. We don't ask questions from Allah. We don't ask Him questions. We don't question His authority, because there is clear evidence in the Quran for us. And the best of human, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, also educated us a lot about Allah. The Quran also told us about Him. So I realized that from my past experience, from my past marriage, I realized that a lot of people want to eat their cake and have it. A lot of people don't understand what it means to be Muslims. A lot of people do not understand that Allah is a very just and sincere God. All you have to do is be sincere with yourself, and everything will be fine. I'm going to explain a bit further. Halal, in the sense that most Muslim youth we have today, even the divorced Muslim women and men, are involved. They indulge in haram relationship, haram conversations, haram gatherings, and all sorts. But when you ask, they seem to feel comfortable in that situation, because they feel, what? We live in this part of the world. We live in this world now, in this day and age. We have to be part of what's happening out there. So they feel that if they don't indulge in all of those haram things, then they are not in vogue. Right? And then at the end of the day, even if the marriage started out good at the beginning, towards the end, there's always one thing or the other. Some of them don't actually talk. But when you discover things are happening in their homes, you realize, what's going on? And then when you go deep into how the relationship started and all of that, you realize it started the haram way. But a lot of people find it difficult to accept this, because they feel, I know a lot of people who have been married for 20 years, they've been dating since when they were in secondary school, even non-Muslims, and their marriage is very good. And I always tell them one thing: be grateful that you started out the haram way and you had challenges. See that as a blessing from Allah, to retrace your steps. It doesn't mean that you have to divorce, you have to leave that marriage. It could be that you just need to, make some tawbah and renew your intentions, and then ask for forgiveness, ask Allah to bless you with everything good. So see it as a blessing. So this is the part where a lot of people, Khalid, can you please? This is the part, yes. This is the part. I'm sorry.
I see you have your children in the background. They want to get in on the conversation as well. It's like, okay, this is getting good. Well, hold on. Let me ask you this. This goes to this question.
Okay.
You know, when we talk about again marriage being a jihad, you know, people think of that in the kind of a negative connotation, like, oh, you know, why does marriage have to be such a struggle? You know, if it's a struggle, then it must not be right. You know, I've heard, and I'll give you an example. There's a brother who I know who last night he went to an event with his wife, and his wife, mashallah, beautiful sister. They were at an event, and his wife, you know, and they were taking pictures. Saw a New Year's Eve greeting from one of his ex-wives, and then that just caused her to just get into and they were having a beautiful evening, but it totally basically transformed their night from just being beautiful because she saw this one greeting and it said nothing more than happy 2022, from my understanding. It just and then the entire night was just ruined after that. You know, I mean, literally, the brother was saying he could see Shaitan just like totally consuming his wife. You know, again, when we talk about you know, marriage being a jihad and that being an example of what can happen, what are some of the things that you counsel your clients about in terms of, you know, being able to help their spouses when they go through those, you know, kind of you know, meltdowns or and we don't want to poo-poo it because it's real. I mean, and some people call it's kind of being possessed. You know, I mean, how do you convey help to people like that? Yes.
I'm so sorry, I'm really getting distracted here. We talked about this before this event, and that is really, really distracting me. Okay, so, yeah, well, first of all, I will say, I'm not going to let this pass me by. I'm going to first address the point where the brother still have his ex's contact. Unless, except there are kids involved, I don't think they should still be communicating because she has become an ex. So on no ground should you have any communication with your ex, right? Okay. So
let me ask you. And again, I don't want to speak for the brother, but I just want to just ask you a question about it. If you are, you know, a Muslim man, you know, your job is to try to invite people to Islam, right? And so even if you have again become an ex to someone, and so again the it's not halal for you to well, and that's the tricky thing, as you know, because it is halal for you, even if you've not had 3 divorces with the woman, right? You still have an ability to marry her again, even though she's an ex, right? And so in this context, especially like this, if your ex is sending you a text message, a happy 2022, as a wife, you know, should you look at that as being a threat, or should you look at that again as being, okay, you know, my husband is maintaining good relationships with his exes?
Okay, Charlie, let's get this straight. The first thing is she shouldn't be sending a message, right? She only will send a message because there's a relationship ongoing, either they're divorced or I don't know. Being an ex, there is some form of relationship going on.
Right.
You have to be able to send that message, right? But as Muslims, this is something I said at the beginning. We can't be half Muslim and be half non-Muslim. It's not possible. We can't eat our cake and have it. If we want to be Muslims, we have to try our best to follow the rules, the dictates of Islam. I'm not saying I'm perfect, But to an extent, we should try as much as possible to make sure we are following the rules, the guidelines. I know, yes, they are open to being married again. It's possible. That is if the woman is married to someone else and she's divorced.
No. I'm saying if the woman, if you haven't had 3 divorces, so therefore that woman can be your wife lawfully, halal, without even having another nikah.
I agree. If there is no talk of marriage between them, let's get this clear. You're not thinking of, you're not even in that state of considering her again. Nothing. Like, you don't know, and then she's sending you that message. Like, for me, your ex is your ex. There should be no relationship. But
let's just talk about it though, sister. And this, I think it's a good question. If you have the ability to remarry the sister, right?
Yes.
So then, therefore, would you agree that is a halal contact? You can remarry her.
Let me just finish what I was trying to say.
Okay.
Once you become an ex, you're an ex. There should be nothing between both of you. That's the standard, right? Secondly, Happy New Year. For what? We are Muslims. We don't celebrate it. For me, I feel that's like looking for something else, right?
How about if it was just an assalamu alaikum general? The idea that you hit on is a good one. Question is, what is the fiqh, or what is the rules? What are the rules concerning conversations with exes? And so, in my understanding, if you again are a husband and your wife has been has been divorced only one time, you have the ability to marry her again. And so there are no prohibitions on you communicating with her, because as you know, at any time that communication can lead to you reconciling, and Allah wants us to reconcile.
Okay, now let's leave that aside, because I'm also a student of knowledge. I'm not a jihad, right? So let's leave that aside. For me, my standard is still what I understand from Islam. Is still, when there is nothing between you both, there should be no communication. Nothing. It's like saying, I was seeing a brother before or a sister before. Now I'm married to someone else, but I still have a contact and I want to talk to her. What's the point? Like, let's avoid the unnecessary incidents. We should try as much as possible to avoid it. But now the question now is, what should the wife, like in that situation, how should it be managed?
Right.
Yes, she's a woman. I'm not going to ever judge her for reacting that way. It's because she loves her husband. She cares about him. That's why she's reacting that way. Then, of course, as Muslim women, you have reacted. It's fine. It's okay to react, but there should be a limit. It shouldn't go overboard. Don't go overboard. Don't escalate it. Don't make the situation beyond what it is already. Your husband knows you're angry. You don't like it. Your husband will definitely watch how it tackles that part later. And second advice from me as a woman to you as a woman, if you find yourself in that situation, just express how you feel, have a communication about it, and let it go. Don't use that as a basis for another incident that will come up. Don't use that to attack your husband in another incident. Don't ever. If you trust your husband, you have discussed it, and you believe that he will do the right thing by you. If he repeats it again, don't give up. Keep letting him know. Keep letting him know things you don't like that he's doing and that he needs to stop. That's it. Because for me, I always say, sometimes the situations in marriages actually could have been prevented, right? It could have been avoided totally. But because we most times allow shaitan into our hearts, into our homes, we just let loose our guard, and then we just react. And some of us sometimes react according to Bollywood or Nollywood or Hollywood in our heads, not because we feel that, we have rights as women. With the woman, the man is not supposed to be doing this, or especially for the women. who live in this part of the world, they abuse the right they abuse it hugely. I can tell you that. I've experienced it, I've witnessed it. It's terrible. You're in a country where the law does not permit polygyny, or does not permit, but it permits promiscuity, like it permits adultery, zina and all of that. So when you see things like that, it has happened. Have communication with your husband. Don't escalate it, because for some men, all they just need is a push outside, and that's it for them. That is how they are created. We can't help it. That is how some people are wired. For women as well, for some of the women, the moment they have reasons to doubt you, that's it. They can't help the situation. But then, we can't all keep hiding under the umbrella of this is how I am, this is how I am. We are all work in progress. We need to learn to work on our emotions, most especially. It's very important. And so a last advice I'll give is, whenever you find yourself in a situation, especially marriage, I say in a work environment, even among families and all of that, always have the mindset, especially in marriage, always have the mindset that you're doing it for the sake of Allah. So that if anything happens, it's going to be a lot easier for you to move on. Because you're doing it not for that person, not for your husband. You're in this marriage solely for the sake of Allah. And you're asking Allah to guide you always, to help you. Trust me, if anything happens, it's going to be easy for you. This is tested and trusted. It's going to be a lot easier on you to move on or to deal with the situation. But when you treat your marriage, your husband, like that is your all in all, your razak, your everything, you're attributing unconsciously the attributes of Allah to him due to by your characters, the speech and everything you say, then you're doing shirk in a way. And a lot of us do it. I can tell you, a lot of us do it. We say, oh, it's my life, it's my world. Even some of us, the way we love our kids, we say our kids are our world. Our kids are, what's the word that relates to Allah? I can't remember. They say it a lot, like, our kids are all in all. What do you put Allah?
That's right.
Where do you put Allah?
Well, let me, and that, I think it's, you hit on a couple of good points I want to ask you about. One is this issue, as you say, of, again, allowing a situation like what happened with the brother to consume you on both sides. On the one hand, for the woman, allowing her herself to be so hurt by the situation that she goes and reacts in a way. The brother was telling me that the wife basically called him everything in the book, said everything, and brought back issues from 8 years ago when they first. I mean, it was like, he was going through. In fact, he had to just basically recite Rukia. He had to basically, say Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar the entire night. He had to like massage his wife's back. You know what I mean? He had to do everything just because of a text message. And again, the question is, what are strategies for, again, preventing you on the one hand from a woman emotionally? How do you prevent yourself from basically falling down there where shaitan gets in you? You really, are in the husband's estimate, he was like, hey, my wife was possessed. You know what I mean? Because she was saying all these things that she would not normally say. And then on the husband's side, what advice do you have for a husband who finds himself in a situation where his wife is saying things that could actually cause him to be so angry that he wants to actually hurt her? What do you say in those types of situations?
Well, for me, it's a really tough situation, but from my experience, I'll say, I know it's tough, and I'm not going to say, I'm not someone who says you're the man, you should be the man up. I don't say things like that, because we all have emotions, we all have blood running through our veins. And as a woman, I can tell you 100% that there are women who are actually possessed. I mean, when I say possessed, I'm not talking about shaitan possessing them. They are possessed by their ego. They are possessed by the things they see around them, you know.
And that is a mini form of shaitan. And it's not to say, you know, it's not like, you know, it's a negative thing, but this is reality. Shaitan infects us all. I mean, every day we get.
Yes, I'll say that. So a lot of women want to exercise that power, that's you know, that's ego as well. Because we all say men have ego. Women do have ego as well, especially women who are executives. I'm not judging. I'm not saying women who are executives are like that. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying that women who are, especially, you know, the things that possess women is, first of all, their level of education, the wealth, maybe the kind of lineage they come from, and the beauty as well. And then virginity also. I know it's something we should be proud of as women, but some women go overboard. They go overboard. If you're a virgin today, someday you get this virgin. Someday you become when I used to be, right? So please, when we want to do things, let's always put Allah first. Let's fear Allah. And let's always remember there's something that I tell myself every day. That I don't know, I think it keeps me in check. I'm not perfect. I do have my down moments as well. I do have things I do as well that I'm always asking Allah to help me with, you know. But the thing I always say to myself is, it's a reminder. The way you die, you shall be raised. The same way you die, the same way the angel of death took your soul, you'll be raised that way as well. So I'm always like, anything I'm doing, I don't want to be deep in it. I want to make sure I'm in between. I'm not going to say I don't get angry. I get angry. But when I'm angry, is either I do 2 rakat salah or I talk to a friend. Like, I don't mind talking to 2-3 good friends of mine at the same time. If possible, put them on conference call. Let me just, you know, cry or shout at someone. Let me just express my pain out. And if in a situation where I realize I'm the only one with my husband there, and I'm angry at this man, I know women tend to say a whole lot of things, that if men should go by what we say when we are angry, no women will be married. Trust me, I can tell you that, because we blew up. We blew up totally. We outdo it. We overdo everything. I can tell you. Very few women are blessed with hikmah to remain silent, to keep chanting their azkar, just because they fear the fire of Jahannam. But most of us are, you know, we are so too conscious of ourselves. We are too proud of ourselves that we don't even care about the other person's feeling. We just go ahead and spill the whole, you know, nonsense in our mouth, all in the name of anger, forgetting that this man also is human. He's got emotions. He has blood flowing in his vein as well, right? So for me, I would say, if you can chant azkar in that situation as a woman,
Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, Allah Akbar.
Exactly. Keep doing it. Avoid saying things that will hurt him. Because sometimes some people, you say things to them, it hurts them. They tell you it's over, it's gone. But the moment they reflect, they remember, it breaks them. It makes them feel little and they don't like it. So you want to watch what you say to people, because a Muslim is someone whose neighbor, or I would say who another Muslim is, you know, safe in his hand, or, you know, from the things he says from his mouth. So we have to be very careful about this, and we need to be very careful when it comes to anger, that we can die at that moment of anger, and the things we say at that time might not be able to, you know, to be fixed. So we have to watch it. So my advice for the men, this is why I said earlier on, I'm not going to tell you man up. Yes, you have feelings. Your feelings, your emotions are legit. It's very normal for you to be angry, but I will still advise that in that situation, be the bigger person. Because of course you don't want to hit your woman, and you don't want to say things that will hurt as well. She's hurting you, then don't retaliate. Don't repay evil with evil. So if you can chant your azkar as well, chant it. If it's possible for you to leave the house, please do leave it immediately, just to avoid the unnecessary from happening at that moment. I've had a situation, I think last year or 2 years ago, where good couples that people see them out there and say, oh, mashallah, mashallah. A lot of people actually wish to be like this couple. And then we heard that they got angry. There was a little misunderstanding. According to the children, it was a minor misunderstanding. And then the brother got so mad, hit the sister, and she fell from the balcony and died. And the brother is in jail. So this is the brother that when you hear the story, you cry. Because you know that he's not like that. Right. And then you imagine, what could this woman have said to him?
Right.
That could have, hurt him this much. So sometimes a lot of people go to jail for things that they do not even deserve to be there for.
And you know what? Let me tell you, the brother, he told me he felt the shaitan literally consuming him. So the shaitan went from his wife to then him. And while he was massaging his wife, he could feel his hands almost getting ready to choke her, and he had to leave the room. I mean, it was crazy. And I was dealing with that situation. That was one of the things that was going on this morning. I was trying to help trying to get this thing started. But this is a reality, and that's why I was so passionate about wanting to actually have this conversation with you, because we are Muslims and we're fighting, this great fight out here to try to, live ourselves in an upright way, try to, make salat, try to make sure that, we get our rights from our work and get our rights from our, colleagues and make sure that our children, are properly educated. But then you have these conflicts that happen in our homes that could just totally take us out. I mean, they could kill us. They could kill, our spouses. It can send us to jail. Every single day you're going through. That's why, I think the concept of a jihad of the heart makes so much sense, because, it's deadly. You know what I mean? You're going through something that actually could kill you or could, bankrupt you every single day.
Yes. And I would say, things that are happening this day as well is not really helping our situation, because a lot of women are so consumed by this power given to them, especially in the Western world. And of course, I'm not saying women don't have rights. Women are the most precious in Islam. Women are treated the way women are described in Islam it's beautiful. We are given rights. We have rights, beautiful rights. But how many of us read this right to our children right from when they were much more younger? How many of us let them know this is how Islam views you? This is how Islam describes you. This is what Islam says. This is who Islam says you are. These are your rights in Islam. This is how you should be treated. These are the things you can do. Like, we are not limited. Wallahi, I keep telling women that thing. A lot of women will say, women are, I'm like, no, don't get it twisted. Go read your Quran. Go. The prophet of, the wife's prophet, Khadeejah Sulaimon, was a wealthy businesswoman. She was a wealthy merchant. A lot of people knew her, right? But that didn't make her a prostitute. It didn't make her someone of less value, right? The only thing we just need to know is, the thing we need to do, and it's a question that we need to keep asking ourselves: do I want to remain a Muslim at heart, to the core, or I want to be a Western Muslim? We need to ask this question a lot, and you need to be able to answer that question yourself. Because if you want to remain a Muslim at heart, you know your rights. You know that, okay, your husband can't treat you this way. You know that your husband also have rights that you have to give to him as well. You know that, okay, as a woman, this is who I am, which will in turn help you choose the kind of spouse you want to spend the rest of your life with, right? At the same time, your prayers, your du'as, your attitude towards your deen will also go a long way for you, right?
Now, let me ask you a question. On that issue of rights. And mashallah, speaking of rights, our time is totally, just zoomed by. But the question is, if you are, we know that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the best of all people, and his wives were the best of all people, but they had problems. And so the question that I might ask you is that if I am a Muslim man, right, and I want to, be like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I want to like for example, the Prophet ﷺ married a woman who had children as a way of trying to help, raise the children because her husband had died in one instance, right? And so there are a lot of women out here who have children and men who can help be, stepfathers and who can help be role models for these children. They want to basically, help them, so they marry a second wife in this way. But going back to the problem of this one brother and his wife, you can have an explosive, relationship, and then you add another possible explosive relationship. How do you manage that? On the one hand, so that's my first question. So one is, how do you manage it? And if you decide, okay, you want to go ahead and marry a second wife, what are the pathways for doing that? And then on the other question I want to ask you is, if you are a woman, and you say, okay, I really would like to get married. It's 2022. I'm open to marrying a man who might also have another wife already. How do I go about doing it? What is your advice? And maybe you can start first from the sister standpoint, and then talk about the brother standpoint and how do you manage it?
Okay, so I'll say I'll go with the second question because I think I understand that question clearly. The number one question, I still don't get that question clear. So the first one, you're a woman or a man and you're open to marriage in 2022. It's easier to say, to tell yourself that you're open to marriage in 2022, but emotionally, mentally, physically, how ready are you? Even spiritually, how ready are you? If you're able to answer those questions correctly and you're certain of your response, then I believe you're open for marriage. Because a lot of things, I know we say that marriage is not something huge, but at the same time, a lot of us make it really huge. Trust me. A lot of us make a big deal out of marriage. The problem that most people have, I can tell you that 99% of people have this problem, especially youth and the divorcees have this problem, and they have to work on it. And if you fall into this category and you're telling yourself that you're ready for marriage in 2022, you need to sit down. Ask yourself, your expectations, are they realistic or not? Because back in the days, people could choose, people could make a lot of, they could front and say, okay, you know what, I'm not ready, I'm waiting, it doesn't matter. Yes, people do have, a lot of reasons to show themselves, to decide that, no, I want to go ahead, I don't want to go ahead. But as it is, the way things are going, as a matchmaker, it's getting difficult by the day. It's getting really super difficult by the day to find a suitable spouse for someone, for another person, because of the unrealistic expectations that people have. People have super huge unrealistic expectations. I can tell you that. And it's affecting the Ummah in a big way.
And so are the expectations that, okay, I may be a 40-year-old, woman, but I want a man who's, also 41, 42, and hasn't had any other wives or has never had any children. Is that type of unrealistic expectation you're talking about?
Well, I won't say yes to that because that's very possible. Let me give you an example of unrealistic expectations that people have. For example, a woman wants to get married, and she's, in her late 30s or late 40s or early 40s, and she's insisting that she wants someone within that age range who is single or
never had children.
Okay. Yeah, single. Sometimes they say they don't mind a divorced man with kid but very young child. Sometimes they say they don't mind a widow with kid or without kid. Okay, but then they say they are open to men in their community alone. Right? They are not open to men from outside. And some of them will say from different communities. That's the reality. And then another unrealistic expectation that people have
we just got joined by Sister Mumu Fresh. How are you doing, Sister? We hope that 2022, if you're not already married, we hope that you will be married in 2022.
That's my prayer too. Sometimes they say you have to earn a certain amount. Okay, a certain amount. For me, I do ask the brothers. You have to tell me. I have to see your proof of income, right? And it has to be legit because I'm going to find out, right? But then when we know, okay, let's say in the U.S. and Canada, a brother who's never been married and doesn't have mortgage and earns about 3,000 or 4,000 a month, it's still very okay for marriage because he's going to pay rent, let's say 2,000 rent, and then he will have the rest, maybe $2,000 for upkeep and other insurance and all of that. Food is quite expensive these days because of COVID, but of course not as expensive as some places, right? That's very okay. But when the sister comes and says, "I want a brother who earns $10,000," and you want that particular brother in a particular profession, we know the drill. We know only the IT guys earn that much. Even doctors will get really old before they start to earn that much, right? We know only the IT people, the cybersecurity guys, the Scrum Masters, and the likes are the ones who earn that much these days. But you want a doctor who is between the age of internship and all that, and you want him to earn $10,000. Do you want him to go rob the bank? How do you want him to do that, right? So you have to be able to, and then sometimes sisters ask the expectations, they request or they require, they don't even have anything to bring to the table. For example, I've had a client who was just a high school holder. There's no big deal in that, but our expectations were super crazy. Like she wants someone who is, she gave me the impression that I'm just getting married for money. And I'm like, yes, as much as it's important to get married for money, you should also consider other things. These brothers, they are asking me, if I don't have brothers who do Yahoo, they don't do internet scam. I don't have brothers who prostitute or who are involved in fraud. So you have to go forward and look for your brother elsewhere because I don't have such a brother for you.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you, what would you advise? Okay, we're at the end of our conversation. It's 2:00 now. What are the three, if you want to get married in 2022? And sister, she has a whole team of people in the background who are demanding her time. So we're going to bring this conversation to an end. But if you want to get married in 2022, what are the top three recommendations that you could give to both sisters and brothers who want to get married in 2022? And then give me 3 recommendations for if you are already married. What are 3 recommendations to kind of spicing up your marriage? All right.
Okay. 1 second. I really don't know what this guy wants, but I'm just going to put it here.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right. So you said 3 recommendations for brothers and sisters who want to get married in 2022?
Exactly.
Okay, for me, the first thing I'll say is intensify in your dua. Intensify in your dua because it's tough out there. You can ask other matchmakers; they will tell you the same thing. It's super tough out there. We don't know if it's a leash from the shayateen. I mean, I don't know, but it's really huge and it's super annoying. So I would say intensify in your dua so you don't fall into the categories of those who are blinded by these worldly affairs, so you can get your own in peace. Secondly, keep your options open. Keep your options open. Don't be too rigid about your options. I'm not saying go below your standard, but please keep your options open. Mm-hmm. Don't seal it up because when you keep your options closed up, it's difficult for the matchmaker to find you someone. It's going to be super difficult. Be open. As long as this person is a practicing, not just a Muslim, a practicing Muslim who fears Allah and has a source of income. Even the brother might not earn as much as you do, but you can see that he's focused and he's goal-oriented. He's working hard to make, ends meet. Try as much as possible to give that brother a boost. You don't know if that is where your barakah lies. This is one mistake a lot of people do. They want a ready-made brother, which most times all that glitters is not gold. You really don't know what's behind their wealth. So you have to be very careful what you ask for, right? And I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to tell you, Muslim brothers also do for internet scams. So it's not about being a Muslim brother. There are so many of them who are involved in internet scam. I can tell you that. So before you ask for that brother who earns 6 figures, who is not an entrepreneur, please think twice. So last advice is purify your intentions. Why are you getting married? Why? You need to know why you're getting married. Are you getting married because your parents are frustrating you to go get married? Are you getting married because your friends are married and you've now seen it as a trend? So you need to know why you're getting married. Because if you don't have a reason for marriage, for getting married, as you go in, so you'll come out. That's the truth. It's not a curse, but it's the reality. Yeah. So for those, you said the second question, for those who are already married,
how can we spice it up our marriages? How can we deal with the problems that might come up, like the brother's problem, on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve?
Well, for me, it's very simple. The first thing I will advise from my own perspective is reduce your social media visits as much as you can. Wow. Reduce it as much as you can, because there are so many fake things on Instagram these days from Muslims that we all see as big deal, and then we base our marriage on that. We always want the same criteria we see on the internet in our marriages. It's wrong. It's scam. It's not real.
And if you're a brother, how do you convince your wife to leave TikTok, even for a day?
The reality is, the truth is, you don't tell her to leave, because if you tell her to leave, she'll look for other ways to visit the place. Either get a new phone, she'll hide and do it. For me, follow her on TikTok. Follow your husband on TikTok. Know what she follows. Know what she, it's just like you having a teenager on social media and you're saying, you know what, I'm going to restrict you from doing it. You're just lying to yourself, because that teenager is going to find a way to go back there. So the best thing is be in the show with them. Follow your wife. Follow all who she's following. Everyone she follows. Everyone your husband is following. Follow them. Know what content they put up, so that you guys can have conversation around that. When you see, for example, you see your husband or your wife.
Can you turn towards the screen, sister, the other screen?
Yeah, I know. It's my son. He's moving the table around. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, he's having fun doing that. Okay, so for me, I would say, be in the show with them. Don't be the boss. You're not going to do this. I'm going to stop you from doing this. No, don't be like that. Be in the show. Follow who they follow. Be friends with who they are friends with. That way, you can monitor the content they watch. And always bring conversation around the unnecessary followers, or whether they follow. When they post things that are not really acceptable in the deen, bring it up as a conversation. I can give you an example. You see someone post something. Let's say Cecile get Tani Alhamdulillah. Let's say I post haram content, and then your husband is following me. Your wife, you as a wife, you want to follow me too, and you see me post things. Just say, hey buddy, did you see what Cecile get posted today? Oh my God, I don't think this is allowed. What do you think? You don't go, oh, look at the people you follow. Right. Blah, blah, blah. When you do all of that, that's inviting shaitan into your home. Right. So you don't have to do things with hikmah. Right. Second thing is communication. It cannot be too much, and this can be over-exercised. You need to have that communication with your spouse. It's huge. It goes a long way. It's not something you should joke with. Have communication with your husband. Communicate about everything possible. Everything. Don't take anything out if you really want to have a peaceful home. Lastly, base your marriage on dua. Anything is going wrong, before you even seek the help of a counselor, make sure you ask Allah for guidance. That's the most important. Ask him to guide you. Pray to him at all times. Tell him you're having this in your marriage, even though he knows. Talk to him, and he will help you. So,
Alhamdulillah. Sister, this has been a beautiful conversation. Look, we are going to be having an ongoing dialogue starting on the beginning of February. Every Sunday, starting the beginning of February, we're having conversations with the Muslim community on different topics. This is going to be a conference, a 4 to 5 week long conference going on every weekend in February. This is something that we are getting ready to launch. Visit the website, the Academy of Muslim Achievement.com.org. And also, if you are a Muslim merchant, if you have a business like Sister Khadeejah's business and you want to actually promote your business, we're going to be launching one of the first Muslim Amazon. So again, imagine having an Amazon-like experience or an Etsy-like experience that are only Muslim companies or Muslim, merchants or matchmaking. Sister, if somebody wants help getting married in 2022, they set that as a goal and they want your help to match them with someone, how can they get in contact with you?
Well, I would say just follow me on Instagram. The website is there. Go on the website. It's self-explanatory, well explained. Under each plan, you know what it comes with. You know what it entails. You know for how long, and then you sign up. Once you sign up, we'll take it from there. Inshallah.
Actually, I see that there is a question that I'll make sure we at least acknowledge. Is the urge for sex a valid reason to get married? Of course, we know that the Prophet ﷺ had told unmarried men, and I'm sure this applies to women, that if you're not married and you have the means to get married, then you have shaitan as your companion. And he urged them as a way of addressing that to fast, even outside of Ramadan. So the idea of if you are, you have the means to get married, and you have a desire to be married, then the only thing that's stopping you from getting married is shaitan. You should not allow your parents. You should not allow the idea of the society, telling, oh, you have to be graduated from high school, you have to be graduated from college, or you have to be graduated, or you have to earn again 6-figure income, or you can only marry one wife. I mean, you shouldn't allow these outside influences to get in the way. I mean, that's my advice to the person who had the question. What is your advice, dear sister, before we conclude?
Yeah, well, I'll say the same thing you've just said. The same thing you've just said, like nothing more. Just if you have the means and you're not getting married, and when I say the means, it means financially, physically, mentally, and you're not getting married, you should ask yourself questions, and you should fear Allah. Fear Allah, because if you're not careful, the calamity will befall you. I mean, the calamity that will befall you will be worse. So you have to be, because I know a lot of youths do that. A lot of guys who happen to live abroad, who are okay, will say, no, I still want to have fun. I don't want to be tied down. That is not Islam. Right. It's not Islam. Right. Once you have the means, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, go ahead and do it. Help other people, even as a woman as well. If you're rich and you want to get married, don't wait to have a brother who has 6 figures. It's not legit in Islam. Of course, we know that, yes, you can have, one of the reasons why you can marry someone is when they are rich as well, is for their money. But at the same time, the most important is the deen. But in this day and age, we know it's a plague. It's a plague. And it's not just the sisters. I can tell you, yes, we have huge number of sisters who are single and are ready to be married. But I can tell you that there are still high number of brothers as well who are single and are ready to be married. But the sisters, on their part, I would advise that you help. For example, if your matchmaker introduced someone to you who is out of where you are, let's say the person is back home, and you are maybe in Canada or abroad, and you have good earnings, you earn well, and the brother his earning is not up to yours, fear Allah and give him a chance. Fear Allah and give him a chance. If you look at the stories of those people who migrated here, is it that the mom was born here, and then she married the father from abroad? And sometimes the stories I've heard here in Canada, most of the fathers didn't have anything to their name. They didn't have a dime, but they married the wives, and the wives did the papers and brought them here. And today the fathers are rich. You can't even tell they were once poor, right? But this day and age, someone who lives here in this part of the world, who knows that back home is tough, maybe Somalia, Sudan, Nigeria, Ghana, it's tough. No matter how much you earn, the person might not earn up to you. Or if he's okay, he will earn the same amount you're earning. But coming abroad, you know that the money is going to definitely drop. But then do you want him to go rob the bank? Do you want him to do rituals? No. Help him if you like him, if he has the qualities that you need. And money is the only thing he doesn't have. Marry him. You don't know how Allah will bless you for that. It is nothing wrong if we spread wealth. This is my huge advice for sisters. Learn to be kind with your wealth. Stop being greedy. Stop being stingy with it. Oh, you're comfortable, you live abroad. Oh, you don't want someone who you bring here and you'll be feeding. If this guy has potentials, why not give him a chance? And what tells you that the wealth you have will last with you? This brother might be like a stepping stone for you. Same thing with brothers. So this is my advice. Let's stop basing giving criteria based on he's rich, he's not rich. It's not really by that. As long as he can take care of your feeding according to where he lives. If you were to live there with him, he will take care of you. And you know that he has all these criteria and you want to go ahead with him, and you know he lives out there. Be ready to spend that money that he needs.
MashaAllah. May Allah be with you, sisters. This has been a wonderful conversation. I could summarize this. It seems to me that the biggest takeaway is to focus more on the deen and less on the dunya if you want to be in love, and have a beautiful relationship with, a husband or wife.
And one last advice for brothers as well. I know a lot of brothers now are so desperate to a point where they just want to marry a rich girl, a rich woman, and get out of poverty. They need to also renew their intentions. They need to renew their intentions as well. Because if you marry that woman because she's abroad, or because you just want to be rich, or you just want to be in that part of the world, trust me, that marriage will not last.
MashaAllah.
Don't know me, know that I say things the way it is. I don't hide. I'm not afraid of anyone. I just make sure that I don't hurt people's feelings. That's all. So the truth is, if you're a brother and you are standing on the fact that if you don't get someone abroad, you're not getting married, you are inviting shaitan into your life. Whatever sin that you commit is on you, solely on you, and you'll be questioned on it.
Well, so I want to I'm going to put in the chat here the website, so anybody who wants to visit us, and then also your website as well. I want to make sure you add it, and we'll put that also in the chat. This has been an amazing conversation. We look forward to having you back as our guest. You're now one of our partners. Inshallah ta'ala, they will hear your voice on our conference that'll be starting, inshallah, next month. And we look forward to having more podcasts as we get ready for that conference. May Allah reward you. May He protect you. May He protect your marriage. May He shower you with barakah. May He prevent shaitan from coming into your home, and for the homes that are lived in by those who are listening to us. May Allah, seal our hearts from shaitan, and may He bless us with patience. We know that we're going to go through struggles. And may we not run away from them, but may we, embrace those struggles with patience. So Allah will say, it is Sheikh Mufti Mink just said the other day, I was listening to a lecture, that when you are coming into Jannah, Allah will say, Salamun, Salamun, for those who were patient when they went through their tests. Because Allah has promised you that He's going to test you. He has promised you that He's going to test you. So may Allah continue to bless you, dear sister, for the great advice. The speed word now, they're wanting to give questions. Please continue to engage with the sister on her Instagram, and inshallah ta'ala, we will look forward to having a next conversation, hopefully in a week. We pray that we can keep this going, sister. If that's okay. Is that okay with you? Can we keep it going?
Inshallah.
All right.
We'll talk about that, inshallah.
All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
This has been Talib Karim with the Academy of Muslim Achievement. We look forward to you joining us in our next podcast. Stand by. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. Hit the like button if you hadn't hit that. And share this with your friends and family.
What's happening
All right.
is that you're going to have to maybe mute